The blue-skinned aliens arrived at Earth's space station on a Tuesday morning. Their ship was sleek and silver, unlike anything humans had built. 6 tall female aliens stepped out, their movements graceful despite their obvious exhaustion. Their leader had markings on her face that glowed faintly in the artificial light. Jin stood with the other human representatives, adjusting his diplomatic uniform. As Earth's chief xenobiologist, he had been studying reports about the Valerian species for months, but seeing them in person was different. They were beautiful in an otherworldly way, with silver eyes that seemed to capture light from multiple angles. "Welcome to Earth Station Alpha," Ambassador Lee said, stepping forward with a formal bow. "We are honored by your presence." The lead alien touched her chest in what Jin assumed was a greeting gesture. "I am Supreme Council Member Raya of Valara. We come seeking help that only humans can provide." Jin noticed the tension in her voice, even through the translation device. Whatever brought them here wasn't a simple diplomatic mission. The meeting room was designed to accommodate various alien physiologies. The Valerians seemed comfortable in the adjustable chairs, though they sat with perfect posture. Jin took notes as Ambassador Lee made formal introductions. "We face extinction," Raya said without preamble once the formalities ended. "Our entire species will die within 60 years unless we find a solution." The human delegation exchanged concerned glances. Jin leaned forward. "What kind of catastrophe are you facing?" Raya activated a small device on her wrist. A holographic display appeared above the table, showing complex genetic sequences. 3 generations ago, males began disappearing from our population. At first, it was just reduced birth rates. Then male births stopped completely. Dr. Min, the human genetics expert, studied the hologram with narrowed eyes. "A sex-linked genetic disorder." "We believed so initially," Raya replied. "We tried everything: genetic modification, cloning, artificial gamete creation. Nothing worked." She paused, her silver eyes scanning each human face. "Then we discovered something remarkable. Human DNA is compatible with ours." The room fell silent. Jin felt his heartbeat quicken as he understood the implications. Ambassador Lee cleared his throat. "You're suggesting that human men could father children with your species?" "Yes," Raya said simply. "We have run thousands of simulations. The offspring would be viable and could restore genetic diversity to our population." "This is unprecedented," Dr. Min muttered, still staring at the genetic display. Jin studied the Valerians closely. Their body language suggested desperation beneath their dignified exterior. "Why did you come to Earth specifically?" he asked. "Surely there are other compatible species closer to your homeworld." Another Valerian, introduced as Science Director Lana, answered. "We spent years searching. We tested compatibility with over 3,000 spacefaring species. Only humans have the specific genetic markers we need." Raya stood and approached the window overlooking Earth. "We offer a fair exchange. Our technology is centuries ahead of yours, faster than light travel improvements. Medical advances, clean energy solutions, all this for volunteers." "How many volunteers would you need?" Ambassador Lee asked carefully. "Initially, 20 would be sufficient for genetic diversity studies. If successful, perhaps 200 over the next decade." The human security officer, Captain Sung, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "And these men would live on your world. What rights would they have?" "They would be honored guests," Raya said. "They would have all rights and privileges of Valerian citizens, plus additional accommodations for their biological needs." Jin watched the faces around the table. Some showed skepticism, others curiosity. Ambassador Lee maintained his diplomatic mask. "This requires careful consideration," Lee said. "There are ethical, medical, and security concerns to address." Raya nodded. "We understand. But I must emphasize the urgency. Every cycle that passes means fewer Valerians remain." Her voice softened. "Send men to reproduce, or our species will vanish forever." Jin thought about the magnitude of what they were asking. Humans helping to prevent the extinction of an entire civilization. The scientific possibilities were fascinating, but the human implications were complex. "We'll need time to discuss this with our governments," Ambassador Lee said. As the meeting concluded, Jin found himself walking alongside Lana toward the observation deck. "Your world is beautiful," she said, looking at Earth below. "So is yours, from the images we've seen," Jin replied. Lana turned to him, her silver eyes reflecting the blue of Earth. "Will your people help us?" Jin looked at the alien woman, seeing not just a different species, but a person facing the end of everything she knew. "I don't know," he answered honestly, "but I hope we can find a way." The ship hummed quietly as it approached the Valerian homeworld. Min looked out the viewing window, watching the blue-green planet grow larger. 6 weeks had passed since Earth's governments approved the volunteer program. Min still couldn't believe he was one of the 20 men selected. "Amazing view, isn't it?" said Du, joining him at the window. Du was a doctor specializing in reproductive medicine. Min nodded. "It's beautiful, different from Earth. The oceans look more green than blue." "Higher copper content," said Sun, the mission's lead scientist. He was studying data on his tablet. Their plant life evolved to use copper in photosynthesis instead of iron. The 3 men watched as the planet filled their view. The ship began its descent through wispy clouds. Below, they could see vast cities with tall spiral buildings and wide green spaces. Min had joined the program for several reasons. As a biologist, the scientific opportunity was unmatched, but he also felt drawn to the mission's purpose, helping an entire species survive. In his application interview, he had spoken honestly about wanting to do something meaningful with his life. The ship landed smoothly on a platform near a large dome-shaped building. Through the windows, Min could see dozens of Valerian women waiting. Their blue skin and silver eyes made them look almost like living statues. "Remember your training," Sun told the group as they prepared to disembark. "Cultural differences are our biggest challenge. The Valerians have evolved without gender division for centuries. Many of our basic social concepts won't translate well." The airlock doors opened. Min took a deep breath and followed the others out. The air smelled sweet, like flowers and something metallic. A tall Valerian stepped forward. "Welcome to Valara. I am Minister Sona. We are honored by your courage and generosity." Her voice had a musical quality even through the translator. The volunteers were taken to a sprawling complex with individual living quarters, research facilities, and recreation areas. Min's room was spacious and designed to accommodate human needs, though some details were slightly off. The bed was too firm, the shower controls confusing. The next morning, the orientation began. Min and 5 other volunteers sat across from a panel of Valerian scientists. Minister Sona led the discussion. "Our reproductive process differs from yours," she explained. "We do not bear live young like humans. We produce fertilized eggs that develop in specialized nurturing chambers." She gestured to an image on a large screen. "This allows genetic monitoring and ensures healthy development." Du raised his hand. "Will we be working with specific Valerian partners? Each volunteer will provide genetic material that will be matched with compatible Valerian donors," Soma answered. "You will not have direct physical relations as in your human reproduction." Min noticed several volunteers looking relieved. Others seemed disappointed. After the orientation, the volunteers were given a tour of the city. Min was paired with a young Valerian scientist named Raya who would be his liaison. "How long have you known about your species problem?" Min asked as they walked through a garden with strange copper-colored plants. "I was born into it," Raya replied. "I have never seen a male Valerian. They exist only in historical records." She paused by a fountain. Some older Valerians remember having fathers or brothers. It happened so quickly. Within 2 generations, they were all gone. "That must have been devastating," Min said. Raya's expression was hard to read. "Our society adapted. We restructured around all-female communities, but we always knew it was temporary unless we found a solution." Over the next weeks, Min provided genetic samples and underwent numerous health examinations. He spent hours answering questions about human culture and biology. The Valerians were particularly fascinated by human family structures. You form permanent bonds with specific partners, Raya asked during one session, and children stay with those same adults throughout development. Usually, yes, Min explained, though there are many variations of family structures. Fascinating, Raya said. Valerian children are raised communally. They know their birth mother, but all adults share in their education and care. One evening, Min joined Du and another volunteer named Jun in the recreation area. Jun looked troubled. Something feels off about this place, Jun said quietly. Have you noticed how they limit where we can go? And they never answer questions about what happened to the males of their species. They're just protective of their research, Du said. Wouldn't we be in their position? Min wasn't sure. He had noticed that certain areas of the facility were restricted, and some questions were redirected. But Rhea had been open with him. At least it seemed so. Later that night, Min couldn't sleep. He went to his window and looked out at the alien city glowing under strange stars. He wondered what his role in this world would truly be, and if the Valerians were telling them everything. Min woke early and headed to the research lab. He had been on Valara for 6 weeks now, and something didn't feel right. Last night, he had noticed a pattern in the genetic data that didn't match what the Valerians had told them. The lab was quiet this early. Min sat at a terminal and began reviewing files. According to the Valerians, male births had stopped naturally due to environmental contamination. But the genetic markers Min found looked artificial, too precise to be random mutation. You should not be here alone, a voice said behind him. Min turned quickly. A young Valerian named Hera stood in the doorway. She was smaller than most Valerians, with darker blue skin. I'm just reviewing some data, Min said carefully. Tara glanced at his screen, then at the door. She moved closer and spoke softly. What you're finding, you're right to question it. Min froze. What do you mean? The story about our males disappearing naturally isn't true. Tara's silver eyes darted nervously to the door again. It was done intentionally by a group called the First Order. They control the High Council. Why would anyone do that? Min asked, shocked. Power. 300 years ago, the First Order believed males were too aggressive, too unpredictable. They created a genetic modification that was released into our water supply. It didn't kill males. It just made sure no more would be born. Min's mind raced. But now they want to bring males back. Not exactly, Tara said. She touched the screen, bringing up new files Min hadn't seen before. The First Order doesn't want true males. They want to use human DNA to create a new type of Valerian, one they can control completely. Min studied the files. They showed plans for selective genetic manipulation, creating offspring with enhanced compliance and limited intelligence. This is horrible, Min whispered. We need to tell the others. Tara nodded. There's a resistance, Valerians who want true genetic restoration. I'm part of it. But we must be careful. The First Order monitors everything. That afternoon, Min found Jun and Du during their exercise period in the recreation area. As they jogged around the track, Min quietly told them what he had learned. I knew something was wrong, Jun said. They separated 3 volunteers last week, said they were being moved to specialized research facilities. No one has heard from them since. Du looked skeptical. Why would they bring us here just to exploit us? They could have taken genetic samples on Earth. They need ongoing samples, Min explained, and they want to study us up close to perfect their genetic modifications. If this is true, we need to contact Earth, Du said. Communications are monitored, Min replied, and I think our transmissions are being filtered. The next day, Min was introduced to a new Valerian scientist named Lena. She was clearly high-ranking, with elaborate markings on her face and hands. Your genetic profile is particularly interesting, Lena told Min as she took blood samples. Strong adaptability markers, high intelligence, yet balanced emotional responses. Very promising for integration. Integration into what? Min asked carefully. Lena smiled. Into the future of our species, of course. That night, Tara came to Min's quarters. The First Order has accelerated their timeline. They're planning to put all human volunteers into stasis within 2 days. They'll keep you in suspended animation, harvesting genetic material indefinitely. Min felt cold fear. How do we stop them? The Resistance has members in key positions. We can get you access to their communication system. If you can send a message to Earth with the truth, it might force them to change plans. And the other volunteers. We need to warn them tonight. But carefully, some quarters have hidden monitoring. Min, Jun, and Du split up to quietly alert the other men. They used coded phrases during normal conversations to avoid detection. By midnight, all 17 volunteers knew the truth. The next morning, Min noticed more security guards in the facility. Lena watched him closely during his lab work. "You seem distracted today," she said. "Just thinking about home," Min replied evenly. That evening, Tara slipped Min a small device. "This will give you access to the main communication array for 5 minutes tonight at second moonrise. Send your message quickly." As Min waited in his room for the right time, he heard shouting in the hallway. The door burst open. 2 guards entered, followed by Lena. "Where is it?" Lena demanded. "Where is what?" Min asked. Lena nodded to the guards, who began searching his room. One found the communication device under Min's pillow. "The Resistance always makes the same mistakes," Lena said coldly. "They trust too easily." Min's heart sank as the guards took him away. But as they marched him down a corridor, the lights suddenly went out. In the darkness, someone grabbed his arm. "This way," Tara whispered. "The others are already moving. The Resistance is larger than they know." Tara led Min through dark service tunnels beneath the research facility. The air was damp and smelled of something like copper. They moved quickly, stopping occasionally when Tara held up her hand to listen. "Where are we going?" Min whispered. "To the old city," Tara replied. "The First Order doesn't control everything there. The Resistance has a safe place." After an hour of walking, they emerged in what looked like an abandoned building. Jun, Du, and 5 other human volunteers were already there, along with several Valerians Min hadn't seen before. "We got 8 of your people out," said an older Valerian named Mira. "The others were taken to the high-security facility before we could reach them." Min looked around at the worried faces. How did the First Order discover our plan? "They have monitoring devices everywhere," Tara explained. "But they don't understand how humans communicate. They were watching for technology or written messages." Jun smiled slightly. "They didn't notice us using Earth sports signals during exercise periods. This was something the humans had developed on their own. Using hand positions from baseball and football, they had created a simple code to share information while appearing to just discuss Earth sports." "Humans are more adaptable than they expected," Mira said. "That's why the First Order fears true integration. They want to use your genetics without your ingenuity." "We need to rescue the others and contact Earth," Min said. Mira shook her head. "All communications are blocked now, and the high-security facility is impossible to enter." Du, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "Maybe not. The Valerians think very differently from humans. That's our advantage." Over the next few days, the humans worked with the Resistance to develop a plan. The Valerians were brilliant at genetics and technology, but thought in very structured patterns. The humans brought creativity and unexpected approaches. "Your biology gives you different strengths," Tara told Min as they studied maps of the high-security facility. "Valerians evolved for consensus and pattern recognition. Humans evolved for adaptation and innovation." Min discovered that the Valerian security systems were designed to detect specific threats: weapons, unauthorized technology, certain biological signatures. But they weren't designed to detect simple mechanical tools or basic chemistry. If we combine baking powder from the kitchen with the cleaning fluid from maintenance, we can create a smoke diversion, Min explained to the group. Jun, who had military training, designed simple tools from everyday objects that could override door mechanisms. Du figured out how to use the Valerians' own medical implants to mask their biological signatures. They're looking for human and Valerian life signs, Du explained. If we adjust these medical patches, we'll register as maintenance droids. Meanwhile, Min worked with Terra on a different problem. If they escaped, they needed proof to show Earth what the First Order was planning. I've been studying your genetic research, Min told her. I think there's a way to achieve what your people really need, natural reproduction, without the First Order's control mechanisms. Min explained his idea, drawing diagrams for Terra. The suppression of male births isn't permanent. It requires regular reinforcement through your water supply. If we create a counteragent and distribute it widely enough, natural births could resume within 1 generation. Terra's silver eyes widened. Is it really that simple? The concept is simple, Min said. The execution is complex. But yes, it's possible. On the 5th day, they put their plan into action. Using disguises created from maintenance uniforms and the modified medical patches, 3 humans and 4 Valerians infiltrated the high-security facility. The First Order guards were confused by the smoke diversions and mechanical failures that seemed to happen simultaneously across multiple systems. They followed their protocols perfectly, which made their movements predictable to Jun's team. Min and Terra headed for the central data hub while the others located the captured volunteers. The hub was guarded, but Du had discovered that Valerian security scanners couldn't detect humans holding their breath, a simple biological trick impossible for Valerians. Min held his breath, walked past the scanner, and used the homemade tool to open the data room door from inside. He downloaded everything: the First Order's plans, the genetic research, and his own solution. When alarms finally sounded, most of the team had already reached the rendezvous point in the service tunnels. They'd brought 9 more volunteers with them. Only 3 humans remained captive. Back at the Resistance hideout, Min connected the data device to a secure terminal. We have everything we need now, he told the group. Evidence of their plans and a real solution to help the Valerian species. Mira studied Min's genetic proposal. This would restore natural reproduction without First Order control, she said with wonder. But how do we implement it when they control a planet? Jun smiled. That's where human politics comes in. We may not be able to contact Earth directly, but the First Order can't stop a Valerian ship from leaving. 1 small ship could reach the human colony on Proxima B, Du added. From there, they can alert Earth with all our evidence. Min looked at the determined faces around him, human and Valerian working together. The First Order never understood what they were really bringing to Valara, he said. Not just human genetics, but human thinking. The Grand Hall of the Valerian High Council gleamed with blue-green light. Min stood beside his fellow human volunteers, facing the semicircle of counselors. 3 weeks had passed since their message reached Earth. The response had been swift. Earth had sent a diplomatic vessel with military escort. Minister Sona, now revealed as a Resistance member who had been working secretly against the First Order, addressed the council. The evidence is undeniable. For 3 centuries, the First Order has maintained power by preventing male births and controlling our genetic future. On the main display, images showed the genetic modifications and the First Order's plans for creating a controlled subspecies using human DNA. The head counselor, a tall Valerian named Dura, looked shaken. Many of us believed the story about environmental contamination. We never suspected deliberate manipulation. That was by design, said Earth's Ambassador Kim, who stood next to Min. The First Order created a society dependent on their leadership by eliminating biological diversity. Min stepped forward with Terra. They had spent days refining his solution in a secure laboratory provided by the Resistance. We've developed a counteragent to the First Order's genetic suppressant, Min explained, keeping his words simple and direct. When distributed through your water system, it will allow Valerian women to naturally produce male offspring again within 1 generation. Terra activated a holographic display showing the genetic processes. The modification is minimal and respects natural Valerian biology. Unlike the First Order's plan, this doesn't create controlled beings. It restores what was taken from us. The council chamber erupted in discussion. First Order supporters argued against the plan, claiming it would destabilize society. Others demanded immediate implementation. Ambassador Kim raised her hand for silence. Earth offers this solution freely, with no demands. However, we request the immediate release of all human volunteers and an end to any forced genetic harvesting programs. Councillor Dira nodded slowly. The First Order's leaders will face justice for their deception, and we accept your terms. The vote was not unanimous, but the majority ruled. The counter-agent would be distributed, and the Valerian people would decide their own future. Later that evening, Min stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city with Terra. Lights twinkled below as Valerians celebrated the beginning of a new era. What will happen to your society when males return? Min asked. Terra's silver eyes reflected the city lights. Change will be difficult. We have no living memory of a two-gender society. But we'll adapt. She turned to him. Some humans will stay to help us, yes. Min nodded. A small scientific team will remain as advisors, all volunteers. The rest of us will return to Earth. Will you be among those who stay? Terra asked quietly. Min had been thinking about this question for days. Yes, someone needs to monitor the genetic progress, and I understand the process better than most. 6 months later, Min stood in the nursery wing of the central hospital. Behind a viewing window, 5 small blue babies lay in special chambers. 3 were female, with the typical silvery eyes of Valerians. 2 were different. Their eyes had visible pupils, and their skin tone was a deeper blue with slight purple undertones. The first males, Terra said, standing beside him. She was now head of the new genetic restoration department. Their development is perfect, exactly as you predicted. Min watched the tiny beings moving in their chambers. They'll be different from the males in your historical records. The counter-agent worked, but 3 centuries of evolution can't be completely reversed. That's good, Terra replied. We don't want to go backward. We want to move forward as a new Valerian society. Do approach them, holding a data tablet. He had also chosen to stay on Valara. The satellite data shows 87% distribution of the counter-agent across the planet. Rural areas should be fully covered within another month. And the First Order? Min asked. Most accepted rehabilitation, Du said. A few fled to the outer colonies, but they have little support now that the truth is known. As they walked through the hospital, Valerians nodded respectfully to the humans. What had begun as desperation had transformed into genuine cooperation. That evening, a celebration was held in the city's central plaza. Humans and Valerians gathered to witness the naming ceremony for the first new males. Min stood with the other advisors as Councillor Dira addressed the crowd. These children represent our future, a future of choice, not manipulation, she announced. We honor the humans who helped us discover the truth and find a path forward. The first baby was brought forward, small and blue with those distinctive eyes. His Valerian mother named him Han, after one of the human scientists who had developed the counter-agent. Min felt a deep satisfaction watching the ceremony. The road ahead would be complicated for the Valerians. Reintroducing males would change their society fundamentally, but they would face that challenge with truth and choice, not deception and control. As the ceremony ended, Terra touched Min's hand lightly, a gesture she had learned from humans. Thank you, she said simply. Min smiled. For what? For showing us there's always another solution, if you're brave enough to find it.